Good evening and welcome to the Demolition Daily Livestream. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. And as much of tonight's show revolves around the Midlands, I'm delighted to be wearing, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm delighted to be wearing a limited edition RMAC t-shirt that commemorates the company's successful demolition of the famous Wembley Way just last week. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but each year has a word of the year. Aside from keeping a few academics busy, I'm not entirely sure what purpose this serves. I did a quick search this afternoon, and as far as I can see, the 2020 word of the year has yet to be decided. You'd have to think that COVID, quarantine, lockdown, and possibly even sanitizer will be among the contenders. Personally, I'd suggest the word unprecedented, and not just because it's been bandied about in relation to the global pandemic that continues to hold the world in its grip. In fact, the word unprecedented applies to much of what has taken place here in the UK demolition business. Or does it? We'll be right back after this. For most of today, I've been putting the finishing touches to the next Demolition magazine. You know the Demolition magazine, the real one, with a real journalist and editor. Yeah, that one. Anyway, as this is the last Demolition magazine of 2020, I've been looking back over the past year. And when you look at it as a snapshot, it's plain to see there have been some truly seismic shifts in the UK demolition sector. On Friday last week, we saw the world's tallest ever explosive demolition and the inauguration of a new president of the Institute of Demolition Engineers. Now, these were both a big deal to the people involved, but neither really qualifies as unprecedented. There've been big blasts in the past, and there's likely to be bigger blasts in the future. And while Richard Dolman's long-awaited inauguration as IDE president is both welcome and richly deserved, he's not the first IDE president either, and he won't be the last. And back in March, the team at Fourth Demolition decided to shut up shop. And just a few weeks ago, McFletch Demolition followed suit. Again, industry veterans walking away from the business. It's highly unusual, but it's still not unprecedented. I can think of at least two more companies that voluntarily called it a day. And I could probably think of even more given sufficient time and sufficient cups of tea. And we recently saw East Midlands Demolition acquired, swallowed up by a larger construction company. Yet again, this is unusual, but it's not without precedent. And maybe that's what makes the news of the merger between Total Reclaims and CMEC Demolition such a very big deal. I've racked my brains and I've raided the archives of demolition news, and I can't for the life of me think of another instance of two former rival UK demolition firms joining forces. If you can think of any, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. This merger is unusual. It was entirely unexpected, and unless I'm missing something, it really does qualify as unprecedented. And it's probably unprecedented for a very good reason. You see, demolition is a fiercely competitive and dog-eat-dog business. Competitive companies traditionally treat their rivals with a mix of distrust and barely concealed disdain. The thought of setting aside long-held rivalries and welcoming a former enemy into the fold would be anathema to most. And that's not the case with Total Reclaims and CMEC Demolition. Despite the fact that they share a home city, Nottingham in this instance, and a healthy rivalry, they seem to have a genuine respect for the skills and experience they each possess. That's perhaps aided by the fact that the fathers of the current owners, neither of whom sadly is with us any longer, actually worked together in the past. These are local rivals, yet family friends who know each other's strengths and key weaknesses. That surely is a firm foundation upon which to build. Now, when I broke the news of this story on Friday, and there's more about breaking stories later, I said it was a move that would send shockwaves through the UK demolition industry. Admittedly, there was a bit of journalistic license there, but only a little bit. Because while this is, on the face of it, a Nottingham-centric story, it's a story that has the potential to create ripples and possibly even waves across the Midlands and even nationally. When I spoke to Melvin Cross of Total Reclaims and Anthony Hopkinson of CMEC last week, they made no secret of the key aim of this merger. Although widely respected and extremely experienced, both companies found that they were constantly hitting a ceiling and that their individual turnover levels were preventing them from competing for larger and more prestigious work. By joining forces, the combined turnover of the two companies places the new company on an entirely different financial footing. A financial footing that will now allow them to go toe-to-toe with much larger rivals, and quite possibly with national rivals too. And having pooled their resources, that merged company now also has the manpower, the experience, and the equipment to compete head-to-head as well. Now, there are more subtle repercussions too. In the past year, the NFDC has seen its corporate member roster diminished by the departure of Button Lingard, the closure of 4th Demolition and McFletch, the collapse of S. Fallon and Sons, and one other that I can't mention because it's not officially confirmed yet. And now the Federation has seen 2 Nottingham members become just 1. Also, although the Binlands is currently enjoying something of a renaissance with work on HS2 and the Commonwealth Games, the future remains uncertain for some demolition firms in the region. With this newly announced merger, the bigger and more powerful Total Reclaims seems ideally placed to fill any void that emerges. As far as I know, this is an unprecedented merger. Then again, given all that's gone on over the last 12 months, the word unprecedented seems to have lost some of its meaning. Now, if you were reading Demolition News earlier, you'll know that the new president of the Institute of Demolition Engineers, Richard Dolman, has announced that his presidency will focus upon the subject of education. That focus will surely come as no surprise to anyone that's followed Richard Dolman and AR Demolition in recent years, and I wish him every success with his presidency and with his educational focus. It couldn't have gone to a better or more dedicated guy. I'm just gutted that Richard didn't get to enjoy his inauguration at a physical AGM like his predecessors. Now, here at Demolition Daily Livestream, we also like to educate, although the lesson that's about to follow is aimed not really at demolition folk. Instead, it's aimed at those that have attached themselves to the industry like a remora clings to a shark. So over the weekend, I was made aware of the fact that another demolition publication had claimed that they had broken the story of the Mina Plaza blast by SafeDem. That's so cute. I mean, it's not true, but it's cute. You see, it's quite hard to break a story that was previewed on Demolition News the day before it happened. It's hard to break a story when we shared the video several hours before they did as well. It's also quite hard to break a story that was witnessed by millions around the world on social media. That's like Steven Spielberg claiming he broke the story of the World War II when he made Saving Private Ryan. But it's an easy mistake to make, I guess. And I understand that the field of journalism can be quite daunting when you've never done it before. So, for future reference, breaking a story or publishing an exclusive is like how we revealed the merger between Total Reclaims and CMEC, or when we revealed that 4th Demolition and McFletch were shutting up shop, or like when we revealed that S. Fallon and Sons had gone pop, or like when we revealed that a portion of the Coleman and Company equipment fleet was up for auction. That is breaking a story. I really hope you found that useful. Now, I've had a couple of comments here. What have we got? We've got Mr. Haddock there. Good evening. And well said. Yeah, well done to Richard as well. Totally agree. Certainly the right man for the job. It's been a long time coming, and I'm sincerely hoping he can put the IDE back on track. Good evening, Charlotte. Good to see you here as always. Speaking of as always, good evening, Ken. Great to see you here as well. Now, you've joined just in time for me to tell you that I won't actually be here tomorrow because I'm on my travels again. Oddly enough, breaking another exclusive story. And I just won't make it back in time. However, we have an absolute corker of a guest lined up for you on a Wednesday, so make sure you tune in for the record. That also will be an exclusive. I'm going to stop now because I'm kind of labouring the point. We will let me try that again. We will be broadcasting at the earlier time of 3 p.m. on Wednesday for reasons that will become obvious. But if you can't be here, the show will be available on catch up via the Demolition News website, which is exactly where this one will be posted just as soon as I've shut up and moved on and let you get on with your evening. Oh, and I've mentioned Peter Haddock earlier, and I need to mention this. On Thursday at 6:30 p.m, I will be joining forces with industry influencers Mr. Haddock and Nick Drew as we unleash a brand new online video show that we're currently calling Construction Collective Live. Is it worth saying that's an exclusive too? No? Okay then. It's actually the pilot episode of what will become a regular show in the new year. So if you want to be one of the cool kids that saw the show before it went mainstream and before the band split over artistic differences, you know where to find us. Good evening, Carl. Good to see you. Peter, it is going to be good. Really looking forward to this one. Got a few more bits and pieces a few more I's to dot and a few more T's to cross, but it's going to be an absolute corker of a show. So I hope plenty of people can be here. It's going to be broadcast. Good evening, Nick. It's going to be broadcast here on Demolition News, over on Diggers and Dozers, Facebook, YouTube, diggersanddozers.com, demolitionnews.com. Anywhere else we can think of posting it, quite possibly Instagram TV as well. So make sure you're here on, well, hopefully you'll be here on Wednesday for our exclusive interview, and hopefully you'll be here on Thursday for the launch of our new pilot show. But until then, stay safe, look after yourselves, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. I'm going to sign off leaving with Peter. We'll see you again on Wednesday. And we'll see you again on Thursday as well. Till then, have a great week, and I'll see you again very, very soon. All the best.